Welcome back to Mile High Hoops. Today we're talking about the Milwaukee Bucks. Thought it'd only be right to start off the Eastern Conference with the team that I think is going to be the best next season. And so with all that being said, just like or dislike, subscribe, and let me know down in the comments who you want to see next. Let's get right into it. So I got to start with Giannis, the new king, the true king, first. And I think it's only right to talk about kind of all of the junk in the news about him. Gilbert Arenas came out and said that he has no real talent. I feel like these former NBA players talking about current day NBA players are just kind of like living in the past and kind of jealous of the talent that the NBA has nowadays. I think the overall talent now is better than it ever has been. And I think these top-end guys are more skilled than any other players have ever been, really. And, I mean, it's just not fair to compare generations. Charles Barkley also said that Giannis would come off the bench in Charles's generation. I think that is just insanely blasphemy at this point. Like, anyone with any eyes and that is watching the NBA knows that that's just completely stupid. Giannis would feast on all of them, and they all know it. They're just scared to admit it. But I think for Giannis this season, I mean, he's just going to keep getting better at all the things that he's been working on, like shooting free throws, that sort of thing. He's been a better creator lately. And I think this season could be the year that he breaks the trend of either LeBron or a new player or a repeating player winning MVP. And I think that he could break that in the sense that he would be the first player to get it after like a gap other than LeBron. And I think he's well capable of doing that for the next several seasons. And he's going to be pushing this team into the playoffs and probably the finals. Next, we've got Chris Middleton, who the AI app did entirely dirty by giving him these massive teeth. But Chris Middleton missed most of the playoffs last season from a grade 2 MCL sprain. He was on record saying recently, actually 8 days ago, that during those playoffs, like when he was like trying to warm up, seeing if he could play, he said it didn't really hurt too bad. It was just something that he knew that he needed to get fixed. And I feel that, like I've definitely had some of these injuries, like in some of my days of just playing random ball, that like it's one that's like, do I really want to just keep playing on this and potentially make it way worse, or just wait like a little bit? And I think Chris is just immensely valuable to this team. I mean, at his very best, he's a dollar store Kobe, and like that's pretty hard to replace. But I mean, he definitely has these nights where he can't hit the broadside of the barn. He doesn't like shoot as aggressively as he should. He plays pretty dang good defense. I think he's a little overrated on defense, honestly. But, I mean, he's usually in the right spot. When he is locked in and scoring and just, like, creating in ISOs, I mean, he does a wonderful job at it. But he's just got to reach that stage of just super hyper locked in. And it's kind of rare to see him like that. But, I mean, I think in a 7-game series, he can give you 3 of those games, maybe. But I think with him back, this team should be way better and should have another chance. Now on to Drew. I think Drew is kind of the most volatile piece here. He doesn't score the ball a whole lot. I mean, he did average 19-20 for them last season, and he shot 40% from the 3 in the regular season, which I had no idea. In the playoffs, he came back to earth at 31%, which I think that's more normal for him. Just watching his game, I mean, he takes a little bit of time to get his 3 off, and you kind of never know when he's actually going to make it. But, I mean, he's so smart on offense. He usually will be able to run the pick and rolls and get a guy on his hip and kind of do those crab dribbles to find, like, Bobby or Brook down low, or Giannis for that matter. And I think he just fits so well because, I mean, he's an elite defender. I think that's the only real elite trait to his game, but he can guard almost anybody. And especially when he was on the Pelicans and he was guarding Kevin Durant, I mean, he was giving Kevin Durant some fits. Like, if he was just taller, like, he would have clamped Kevin. And you don't guard Kevin. Kevin just scores. So, I mean, it was pretty impressive. And I think, I mean, if he can just kind of pull his 3-point percentage a little bit back to some good NBA average level, then, I mean, they'd be like unstoppable. But there's other concerns I have that we'll get to. Now on to Brook. So Brook missed most of last season and then came back for the playoffs. And during the playoffs, he kind of was buns from three. He only shot 20%, and that's kind of been his calling card the last few years, being like a 3-and-D center. But, I mean, he still put up good block numbers in the playoffs. And, I mean, he's good from the free throw line, and he boards the ball. I mean, you can't really ask too much more out of him. I mean, he catches it down low, and he can finish there, too. He's just a huge body. I will say, I think for this next season, it would be quite smart for the Bucks to have him on the bench to start the games. I mean, he's 34 years old at this point, and if they want to make a run with this roster that's starting to show some age, I think kind of load managing him would be their best bet. Let Bobby start and have Brook be healthy for most of the season if they can. I just don't think that he's got a lot of elite basketball, well, not elite, but good basketball ahead of him if he is to get injured again. Now, crazy eye Bobby Portis. Bobby Portis, his numbers don't look great. I mean, he gets 10 points, 10 rebounds, but I feel like he is so much better than his numbers. And in the playoffs specifically, I mean, there was so many games where it was like, is this Lamar Odom? I mean, he was dribbling the ball up the court. I mean, he was hitting mid-rangers in people's faces with, like, jab steps and hitting, like, post fades a little bit, too. It was kind of weird. I mean, he was looking great for them, and I think that's why they've kept him around so much because, I mean, when they need him, he steps up, he performs, and he fills his role better than most people could, and he buys into that role. And that's what you need to get. And when you ask for that out of a guy, like if they can actually provide that, then that's super valuable because you need these type of guys on your roster to win. And I love Bobby's game. He's a funny guy, and I would imagine that they would start him over Brook, like I mentioned earlier. And I think this younger body that's kind of got some more intangibles and more to his game than Brook, then would be a better fit for the starting lineup as well. Now, the Bucks just recently extended Grayson Allen. I believe it was 2 years, $16 million, so he's going to get 8 each season. And don't let Grayson trick you into thinking that he's a bad player. He gets like a good 8 or 9 points a game, and he shoots the three at like a 40% clip. And he plays pretty good defense. And, I mean, if you know anything about Grayson, he's going to hustle. He's going to dive to the floor. He's going to stick a leg out. I didn't say that. But he does all these little things that kind of brings your team together. And when you got a guy diving on the floor for the ball, I mean, it's kind of boosting everybody's morale up. And I think he's a good fit here. And him paired with the next guy are just two great interchangeable two guards for this team. Now, this guy may look way cooler than Pat Connaughton, but trust me, this is Pat Connaughton. So Pat also is about the same mold as Grayson, without the dirtiness, of course. But Pat shoots the ball at about 30% or 40% from three. And the difference in their game is that Pat has like a 43-inch vert or something crazy. And so he knows how to use it too. I mean, there's so many times where the Bucks will shoot a three or something, and then you see little Pat Connaughton come flying from across the court and gobbling up a rebound and either putting it back up or hitting another shooter. And when he's able to do that, shoot threes so well, and like off the move too, he'll catch it off curls or floppy sets and just light it up. And yeah, you pair that with like him playing pretty good defense. I mean, on the perimeter, he's okay. I think he's definitely a better team defender. Like, he understands the concepts really well. He's always in the right spot, it seems like. He's just a very valuable guy and a good role player for this team, and I think he's pretty invaluable to what they're doing. Now, the last real vet that I want to talk about here is Serge. I think this is Serge's last season coming up here. I hate to say that because I really like Serge. I mean, ever since OKC, he's been fun to watch. I mean, he's been just an incredible shot blocker. He shoots the mid range really well. But this last season, I mean, especially in the playoffs, I mean, he just didn't really do anything for the Bucks. He played 6 games and only got about 3 minutes a game, and in that time, he didn't really show anything. I hope he can bring it back together. It's looking like it's the end for Serge, sadly. I would have talked about George Hill. I love George Hill, but he is older than dirt, and I don't see him playing much, so there's that spot. Now, the last guy that I feel like talking about is Jordan Noria. I think this is going to be the season for Jordan to finally get some playing time. Last season, he did play a little bit in the regular season. I mean, he got about 19 minutes a game. I think that could go up this year. He does have all the signs of being like a good 3-level scorer. He shoots the 3 at about 35%. He only shoots from the field at 40, but he shoots 84% from free throws, which is a good sign. I mean, his shooting motion looks good. The issue that I have with it, and the reason why I picked this picture for him, is that he releases it like not quite at his forehead. It's kind of just so low that it's like a weird, awkward release that's like super easy to block. Players get a good contest on him pretty much every time. And I think that that's going to need to be risen up a little bit, or just make the motion a little bit faster for him to be like a better shooter and be able to get it off with more time. But, I mean, he attacks the rim. He's athletic. He can shoot from the mid-range. He can shoot from 3. It's a matter of if he can become a good defensive player or not. But I think he's got all the tools, and he's in a good situation to figure it out. And I think the Bucks would be a better team if they can get him to figure most of those things out. All right, and so for front office things, they're pretty hosed on picks. They don't really have any first-rounders until 2028, it looks like. So they're not going to be getting better from trading first-round picks, that's for sure. But they do have a lot of seconds. And as far as salary goes, this next season, I mean, they've got everyone locked in for this year. But then next year, I mean, Brooks' contract is gone at $14 million coming off the books. They did sign Joe Ingles. I didn't really talk about him. He's older than dirt as well. And his $6 million will come off. Chris Middleton next season has a $40 million player option. And so I'm guessing he'll just decline that and ask for a supermax. And then the year after that, Drew Holiday has a player option. And then the year after that, Bobby Portis, Chris Middleton, and Pat Connaughton have player options. But most of these deals, such as, I mean, Bobby, Pat, are pretty cheaper deals that could definitely be moved if they need to. I will say I think that this team is kind of in dire need in the next season or two of getting a little bit younger. I mean, most of these guys they've signed over the last few years have been pretty old. It's looking like the average age for most of the players that are going to be playing is about 30, 31. With Giannis now at 27, Chris Middleton's 31, Drew Holiday's 32, Bobby's 27 as well. And then Brook is 34, Joe Ingles is 35, and George Hill is 36. I mean, they've got a lot of age, but I think they've got definitely another title shot this next season, as well as probably the year after that. But if they want to keep this window open, I think they need to find some younger talent that can show some sort of potential and kind of step in to fill some of these older players' roles. I think Jordan Noria is quite poised to take that step into one of those spots. And then this other guy that I actually really like, Sandro, okay, this is going to be rough, Mamu Kalashvili, I think that's how you say it. But there was times in some games where he was looking really good for them, actually. Like, he was flying to the rim, hitting some threes, and getting rebounds, blocking some shots. I mean, he was an exciting guy. He might just be one of those foreign guys that comes in for a year or two and becomes okay, but he was pretty cool. With all that being said, let's get to wins. I think they're going to be high 50s. I mean, if they don't have any injuries, then they're going to win 58, 60 games, and they're going to go to the Western Conference Finals, I've been saying West for a while, Eastern Conference Finals, and probably the NBA Finals, and I would probably put them at the spot to win at this point. There's definitely other teams that have a great shot. I mean, parity in the league is good again, and this is going to be a tough year to try to guess. But I think they have all the right tools to get themselves in that position. And, so thanks for listening. And if you stuck around this long, please hit the like button, subscribe button, or the dislike button, whatever you want to do. And leave me a comment. Tell me why I'm dumb or why I'm smart, or which team you want to see next, and what kind of AI images you'd like to see in the next one. But, thanks again, and we'll see you in the next one.